Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Um, First, I just would like to take the opportunity to thank everybody for coming together today. Also like to recognize our elected officials here today. Of course, we have our Honorable Sheriff Bobby Weber, our Chief James LeBlanc, and Councilman John Cagnolati. Um, you know, we always brag about Ascension Parish being the best in the state. We talk about how blessed we are with our abundance of riches. We mention the school system, our low unemployment, our high tax base, and low crime rate here in Ascension. But I believe what truly makes us special are the people, those who live and work here. Although there are many people involved in this act of heroism, today we're here to honor 5 of those people. 5 people who put others before themselves, 5 people who use their training, education, knowledge, coupled with immense bravery and perseverance. 5 people who put themselves at risk to save others. Ladies and gentlemen, with great pleasure, I present to you Deputy Daniel Haydale. If you kind of just raise your hand. Deputy Jamie Wolf. Deputy Carly Gutierrez. Firefighter Jeff Kelly. And firefighter Shane Wellman. Thanks to their heroic actions, lives were saved. I will leave it to Sheriff Bobby Weber and Chief James LeBlanc to recount their acts of bravery, but I'm here to tell them and you that we recognize those people who make Ascension a better place for everyone. We thank them. We honor them. But even that pales in comparison to the knowledge that some people's lives are alive today because of them, and that is a high praise indeed. So at this time, we would like to go ahead and bring forward our Sheriff, Bobby Weber.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I want to thank you and the council members for honoring our first responders today, and we really thank you for that. I also like to thank all of our business community that reached out to us, and our citizens in general who have reached out to us with great show of support and respect, and we really do appreciate that. And you know, all the challenges that we have faced with COVID in 2020 and now again in 2021, and the unrest that we see unfolding in the country, sometimes it gives you maybe pause. But here in Ascension Parish, we have such a strong community, and you're right, Mr. President, these are homegrown men and women that live here and want to serve here. I will tell you, I'm just so honored and so proud to be just a small part of their leadership team as their sheriff. But we was out that night, and I know Raven was there covering this story, and it's one that the sheriff goes on, because you get a call where 4 people in the canal and the vehicle is sinking, and it's a horrible situation. You know, I was talking to the deputies and the firemen just the other day as we were meeting, and we got a term that we like to use, service beyond self. Well, when you save another human being's life, that is service beyond self, because you're normally putting your own self at great risk when you're saving somebody else's life, and that's what these men and women in the first responder world do. So they may tell you, said, listen, I've done what anybody else would have done. I said, that's not true. Not everybody would have did what you did. That's why you take an oath, and that's why you do the things you do. Not everybody would have jumped in that water. Not everybody would have handled that 911 call like Carly handled it, because this is 3 o'clock in the morning. We don't know exactly where that car is unless she's working diligently to try to find out exactly where it's at, because we have to be there. And for our deputies and for our firemen to jump in that water, and Daniel to find the strength and get an adrenaline dump to break that glass and dive underwater and get those 2 children out, a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old, and then the mother, and get them to the bank, and first responders doing CPR. And by the time we left the scene, we've heard from the hospital that we had a pulse on all 4. It was a pretty amazing thing. Now, of course, there's been some tragedy since that. The little boy died. Mama's still in critical condition. But I know as well as you do that if these firemen are on duty tonight, if these first responders, our deputies are on duty tonight, and this situation happens again, they will not think twice about doing what they do. And they are also humbled that they didn't want any recognition. But I said, listen, guys, I said, you know, you deserve this. You go get up every morning, you put on that uniform, you put on that badge, you put on your firefighter's uniform. And what we like to think that we are, and we know that we are, is public servants serving in our parish, serving other people. And that's what they do. And look, they do it. I go to these fire banquets, I go to these deputies' banquets, and we talk about the numbers of calls that they run. This is no doubt one that could have been way more tragic than what it was, but it ended in a way to where our first responders were able to get there and do what they did, and we're getting some recognition from it. And I said, at least accept that. You don't have to be so humbled. If the media wants to talk to you, talk to them. If they want a quote, give them a quote. And I'm trying to convince them to do that. But once again, Mr. President and this council, thank you for reaching out and wanting to honor our first responders. I thank the media for having such interest in this story, and thank you for covering it. And once again, the outshowing of support and love from our business community and our citizens in the parish is absolutely phenomenal. And we are so happy and so proud to serve in Ascension Parish. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to come forward our chief, James LeBlanc.
So that's always a hard act to follow whenever you follow him behind the sheriff. Should have let me go first. But I'd just like to respond to some of the things the sheriff said. We live in a parish that's very, very blessed to have the responders that we have. Parish President Clint Whitmore and his crew and his staff, thank you all so much for doing this. I think today I want to focus on some things that were done behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know about. If you interview any one of these 5 people, they'll tell you that they were just the quarterbacks that particular day. There was a lot of people behind the scenes on that particular call that did a lot of work. But these were your quarterbacks. If it wouldn't have been for your quarterbacks that particular day, the call could have been even more tragic. I'll start off with the dispatcher, Carly Gutierrez. I don't know how many of y'all know, but the first call that came through to dispatch was somebody that wasn't even on the scene. Somebody that had no idea what was going on scene. And Carly, because of her experience and because of her knowledge, she was able to get that person to give her the phone number to the person that was on scene. And she was able to call the lady that was on scene and get the information that we needed on that particular day. Just for Carly to understand that, look, I need to talk to the person that's on scene. It's just phenomenal. And Carly, I cannot even begin to thank you for the work that you did that morning. It's truly unbelievable. I don't know how many people know that Daniel Idell was working the night shift. Daniel Idell had already made it home. Daniel Idell was taking his uniform off. Why in the world Daniel Idell didn't turn his radio off when he got out of his car is phenomenal to me. But I believe it's a reason why God didn't turn that radio off. What happened was Daniel Idell got out of his car, got in his house, worked 12 hours, tired, taking his uniform off, and all of a sudden he hears a call come across his radio. And he says, you know what? I think I can get there before the day shift guy gets there. The day shift guy had just made relief, just getting on the road, and Daniel Idell's in his house. And he says, you know what? I think I can get there quicker than the day shift guy can. Daniel Idell gets back in his patrol car and gets to the scene and happens to get there pretty much first. Me and the sheriff are blessed about this. He was able to take off his gear that cost us about $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 before he jumps in the water. You know, so thank God for that. But Daniel Idell's the first guy in the water, and of course he's swimming underneath there. And I'll spare y'all all the details. But Daniel Idell you could have gone to sleep. You could have turned your radio off and said, you know what, I did my 12 hours. I'm finished. Somebody else can handle it. And I can't thank you enough for that. Can't thank you enough for that. Next guy is Jamie Wolf. He happens to be the day shift guy. He's the one that's coming off relief. He's the guy that's en route, but he's a good ways away. But when Jamie Wolf gets there, he sees that his co-partner, Daniel Idell's in the water. So what does he do? Doesn't hesitate to unrobe his gear, unrobe his gun, unrobe his radio, and jumps in the water also. And between Daniel Idell and Jamie Wolf, they're doing remarkable things in this muddy, I don't know if y'all know the area, but there's no lights, dark, dark, dark water, dark area of Santa Ma, and you got Jamie Wolf and you got Daniel Idell underneath the water, feeling for anything that they could feel for. Jamie Wolf, remarkable, remarkable. Here's the thing I really want you to understand. Santa Ma Fire Department and 5th Ward Fire Department were the fire departments called to this call. Shane Wellman and Jeff Kelly do not belong to the Santa Ma Fire Department and 5th Ward Fire Department. They belong to the Sorrento Fire Department, a fire department that was not called to the call. What happened was Shane Wellman and Jeff Kelly are laying in bed sleeping. They hear the call come across the parish fire radio. It wakes them up. They say, you know what? I think we can get there. I think we can get there pretty quick. So Shane Wellman and Jeff Kelly, who are firefighters in Sorrento, they don't wait around for somebody to call them. They jump out of their beds, they get in their vehicles, and they respond, and they immediately jump in the water also with Daniel Idell and Jamie Wolf, and they do their business. I'm just going to tell y'all that they volunteers. They don't get paid for anything that they do. And they got out of their bed at 3:15 in the morning and went to a call that their fire department was not even called to. That is dedication. That's what we have in this parish. That's why we're so blessed in this parish. So if you interview any 5 of them, they're going to tell you. We were just one of the team that was there. We were just one of the team that was there, and we did our job. But if each one of these 5 wouldn't have done their job, I guarantee you, the accident on 429 the other day would have been more tragic than what it is today. And it is a blessing to sit in front of this beautiful parish building today with all of you to honor these people that deserve every bit of honor that they get. Thank you all so much.
At this time, we would like to go ahead and issue our certificates of recognition for this heroic act on that horrible day. So first we'll get Daniel Haydale. Daniel. Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you. You're welcome to provide an opportunity to say a few words if you'd like.
It was a teamwork out there that night. That's all I have to say. It was a teamwork out there. And you got to thank Acadian, you have to thank the firemen, dispatch, and everyone who responded. We just did an awesome job, and we made things work. So.
I don't have these in any particular order. So next is Jamie Wolf.
It was a very intense call. We were responding to kids in water, so I'm just glad it turned out. Most all of them got out. Thank you.
Next is Carly Gutierrez. Carly. Next we have Jeff Kelly. Anything to say? And last but not least, Shane Wellman. Shane. Well, we'd just like to thank everybody for coming today. And yeah, this is what makes Ascension Parish special. Thank you, everyone. Sure. Yeah, James. See if we can get right in here somewhere. Yeah, let's turn sideways a little bit. Before you go on, James. Can I add a couple of people to the photo? Absolutely. Hey. Come on.